The Philadelphia Eagles are headed to their second Super Bowl in 3 seasons after absolutely dominating and throttling the Washington Commanders 55-23 in the NFC Championship game. My name is Chase Sr. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. And as always, no matter where you are or how you're watching, thank you so much for supporting the channel, watching everything that we do, and making our post-game show a part of your evening. Where do you even start with how dominant Philadelphia was in this football game? They put up a 50-burger for the right to make it to the Super Bowl by just thrashing the Commanders by 32 points. And going into this game, the Commanders had a bottom 3 rushing defense. They were without Daron Payne, their star defensive tackle, without Sam Cosmi, their starting right guard. This is a Commanders team that was a little bit thin as far as depth goes. And they were a little bit inexperienced when it comes down to the playoffs. And I thought that going into this game, the Eagles were going to be able to control both sides of the line of scrimmage with their offensive line and their defensive line. I thought the Eagles were going to be able to have success on the ground. And I thought that Jalen Hurts was going to put together a really good game and steal the show, because I trust Jalen Hurts in these spots. And after the game, Nick Sirianni said it the best when he was being interviewed by Terry Bradshaw and had his hands on the NFC Championship trophy. Stop doubting this guy. All he does is win. And Jalen Hurts in this game, after a couple of lackluster performances in the wild card round and in the divisional round, combines for 4 total touchdowns. 3 on the ground, 1 through the air, and the Eagles as a team able to run for 7 rushing touchdowns. It is tied for the most in a playoff game, going all the way back in the history of the National Football League to 1949. Saquon Barkley, once again terrific. 15 carries, 118 yards, 7.9 yards per tote, and he had a hat trick. And on the first offensive play of the game, he took it to the house from 60 yards out. One of the best individual offensive performances that we will ever see. And there are very few running backs throughout the course of NFL history who serve as home run threats the way that Saquon Barkley does. That's what an MVP candidate looks like right there. That's what a $50 million per year quarterback looks like and how he's supposed to play. I also thought that A.J. Brown, given how the Commanders have played defense this year and the matchup going up against Washington when they like to play a lot of press man, favored A.J. Brown. And after he really didn't do much, some circumstances under his control, others not in the first 2 playoff games, 6 catches, 96 yards, and a touchdown on a perfectly thrown out route by Jalen Hurts running in front of the pylon. And then Vic Fangio's defense, able to ball out and force a combined 4 turnovers for the team. The Commanders, with 3 fumbles, 1 interception, Quinyon Mitchell able to intercept Jaden Daniels. One of those fumbles came by way of special teams, as the Eagles this year have forced 29 forced fumbles this season, and they continue to be merchants with forcing giveaways. And they were able to win the turnover battle by a wide margin in the NFC Championship game, 4-0. In the divisional round against the Rams, 2-0. And they won the turnover battle against the Green Bay Packers, 4-0. When you do that in the playoffs, you are going to win almost every single time. Howie Roseman's fingerprints all across this magical season. 14-3 in the regular season, number 2 seed in the NFC, NFC East champs. He has done a beautiful job of constructing and building this roster. And it's resulted in the Eagles making it to 2 Super Bowls in 3 seasons. And now they are on the precipice of taking down the winner of Bills, Chiefs, and if they do that, a second Lombardi trophy is coming back to Philadelphia. 60 minutes to play. Job is not finished. But led by Howie Roseman, this is the most talented, deepest, most complete team in the NFL. Number one rushing offense, number one overall defense, and when the quarterback plays like that, they have so much talent, so many weapons, where when they become multiple and they are forcing turnovers, as Philadelphia scored 28 points off of giveaways, they are so hard to beat. The only team that can beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl, in my opinion, is themselves. That includes the Eagles going up against Josh Allen and the Bills, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Kansas City Chiefs. This has been a magical season. It's resulted in another Super Bowl trip, this time to New Orleans, and now it is time to finish the job. I thought that Kellen Moore in this game had some playoff plays that he called that we hadn't seen all year. Couple of end-arounds to Dallas Goedert, a pop pass to Devontae Smith. Against the blitz, the Eagles and Jalen Hurts responded very well. I thought Nick Sirianni going into this game had to match the aggressiveness from Dan Quinn, and he did. And he managed the game very well. And there was a critical play in the first half when Nick Sirianni decided to go for it on a 4th and 5. Commanders sent pressure at Jalen Hurts. He threw a beautiful ball downfield right in stride to A.J. Brown, which then led to another score. Hurts on the day, 20 of 28, 246, 4 total touchdowns, and a passer rating of 110.1. And this is an Eagles team that wears you down throughout the course of ball games. They play bully ball. They play very physical. They force turnovers. They control the offensive line of scrimmage and the defensive line of scrimmage. They're so well coached on both sides of the rock. And that's why they are where they are. And for anybody out there not giving Nick Sirianni credit yet, give Nick Sirianni credit right now. He is the only coach in the history of the Eagles to go to 2 Super Bowls. Jalen Hurts is the only quarterback in the history of the Eagles to make it to 2 Super Bowls. And to see how dominant the Eagles were in this fashion, we're talking about 55 points scored in a conference championship game. They started quickly. 14 points in the first, 13 in the second, 7 more in the third, 21 in the fourth quarter. And I thought it was really big how this Eagles defense was able to hold the Commanders out of the end zone on top of winning the turnover battle. The Commanders, 3 points in the first, 12 in the second, 8 in the third, none in the fourth quarter. I had a sneaky feeling as we approached this game that the Eagles were going to be able to dominate. This is one of the most dominant conference championship performances that you will ever see. You think the Eagles dominated the Vikings back in 2017? That game and this game, hold my beer type of stuff. A 32-point convincing win to make it to the Super Bowl. Celebrate all night, grease the poles in Philadelphia, take over City Hall. And this is why you subscribe to the channel, because our coverage is going to continue. And myself and Chip, we're headed to New Orleans to give you great Super Bowl coverage. Our sponsor for our instant reaction post-game show, our friends at Game Time. The best app when it comes to buying tickets to sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, and a whole lot more. Thanks to Game Time Picks. Curation makes it easier to find the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed. And instead of having to go through thousands of tickets, Game Time will give you the best vantage point and the price point for where you want to sit. Eagles headed to the Superdome. Super Bowl 59 tickets going to be available here very quickly. And you can get your tickets on the Game Time app right now. When you download the app, you create an account, and you use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, you get $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with our friends at Game Time. By the way, Jalen Hurts, 9 rushing touchdowns. He passes Steve Young for the most all-time in NFL playoff history. And I was looking at some of the dialogue on X, and so many people are saying, ban the brotherly shove, the tush push should be outlawed. There was a sequence there in the second half where the Commanders committed 3 or 4 straight penalties, with Frankie Louvu jumping over the pile multiple times before the ball was snapped, to the point where they were committing so many penalties that the official had to get on the microphone and say, if they do it again, we are going to give Philadelphia a touchdown. I was today years old when I found out that was a thing and that is possible. But you can't penalize a team for building up their offensive line, for having a quarterback who can squat 500 to 600 pounds, for being able to efficiently run and execute that play. And that is a Philadelphia Eagles play. There's a reason why no other team in the NFL can run it as successfully as the Eagles run it. The 55 points by the Eagles, the most by any team in NFC Championship game history. Brandon Graham saying, you doubted, oh my God. 2-2, the sky is falling, on his way to the locker room. Jalen Carter, walking off the field, said, sent y'all to Cancun. Jalen Carter, once again, a dominant force in this game, too, for this Eagles defense. And you look at some of the team numbers here. Philadelphia racking up 459 yards of total offense to the Commanders' 350. Eagles picked up 28 first downs to the Commanders' 22. Eagles 50% on third downs, the Commanders 7 of 17. Penalties, 5 for 30 for the Eagles, 9 for 47 for Washington, but they committed big penalties in big spots, which resulted in a couple of instances, the ball going closer to the goal line for Philadelphia. Time of possession very even, but really winning the turnover battle in a convincing way like the Eagles did went into that dominant performance. The Eagles running it as a team for 229 yards to the Commanders' 99. Their yards per play, 7 to the Commanders' 45. The Eagles, 7 of 7 in the red zone. The Commanders, 1 of 2. And you think ahead to what awaits for Philadelphia. They match up well with Kansas City. They can get after Patrick Mahomes with 4. The Chiefs have not had a game offensively where they have scored more than 30 points in a single ball game this year. They have been carried by their defense, which is great against the run. And if the Eagles can find success on the ground against Kansas City, and Jalen Hurts can play like he did back in Super Bowl 57, Eagles can beat the Chiefs. And against the Buffalo Bills, the Bills don't have a lot of talent outside of Josh Allen. Their defense, not the great Sean McDermott defenses that we've seen in years prior. And so I think Philadelphia matches up very well against either Kansas City or Buffalo. And another reminder, stop messing with the Rocky statue. Vikings fans put Vikings garb on Rocky, blowout in 2017. Niner fans did it back in 2022, blowout for Philadelphia. Patriots fans did it back in 2017. Birds won, Super Bowl 52. And then Commanders fans did the same thing, and the Eagles win by 32, and they put up the most points in an NFC Championship game ever. Jason Kelsey tweeting out, well, that was fun. These dudes are ridiculously good. Go fucking Birds. Most rushing yards produced by an NFL running back in 1 year. Terrell Davis, 2,476 in 1998. Saquon Barkley, 2,447 here in 2024. Has an opportunity to set that record. And how about how Jeffrey Lurie oversees the operation? 8 NFC Championship games since 2001. Super Bowl appearance in 2004, 2017, 2022, and again here in 2024. And how about the resume for quarterback Jalen Hurts? His last 3 years, 2-time NFC champ, 2-time Pro Bowler, an All-Pro, 121 total touchdowns, second among quarterbacks, 51 rushing touchdowns, the most by any player, 42 wins, second most among all quarterbacks. That's what it comes down to. Winning games, and that's why I say winning is a quarterback stat. If you want Jalen Hurts to air it out 30, 40 times, you'd be going away from your strengths as a football team. That's your offensive line and your ground game. And because of that, yeah, the Eagles' pass game has suffered a little bit. But when they needed Hurts to throw today, when they needed to be multiple, versatile, and diverse, they were 4 touchdowns, no turnovers for Hurts. And so 4 touchdowns against the Commanders, 2 touchdowns against the Rams, and 2 touchdowns against the Packers. 8 touchdowns, 0 giveaways for Hurts in 3 playoff games. Keeping the ball out of harm's way, huge, huge, huge. Will the Eagles win Super Bowl 59? Give us a Y for yes, an N for no. Let us know down in the comment section. And Eagles Now will be coming to you from New Orleans starting on Sunday.